morning, good afternoon. Thank you for tuning in today. And so today's podcast specifically, we've focused on, Women's Day in general. And we have with me Cara Bibbiani joining in from HP. She's the Senior Director, Corporate Development, M&A Integration at HP. And today's focus being on women and this scenario in M&A specifically for women empowerment and women in general, and the various topics that we'll be touching on upon. So thank you, Cara, for joining in. And
of course, happy to be here.
So yes, so within the current scenario that we are in, and couple of pointers, from a macro perspective level, just wanted to understand, what do you think are the current challenges that women are facing in M&A today, and in terms of their representation and the growth opportunities in today's world?
Yeah, I mean, we're making progress, but not as much as we'd like to be, for sure. I think that the financial industry is still very dominated by men. About 46% of the sector is made up of women overall, but I think about only 15 to 20% are in executive roles. And so we're making some progress, and we're seeing more female CFOs, but I don't think we're seeing it at the rate that we need to be. And I was just reading this week that Deloitte did a study that found at the current rate of change, financial services firms probably won't achieve gender equality in leadership until 2085. So clearly we have to do better on this topic.
Absolutely. And do you think that there is any lack or some sort of, blockers that you see that are there currently with respect to opportunities currently for women?
Yeah, certainly. And I mean, some of them are topics we've been talking about for a while. So we still have, some gendered hiring and promotion practices. I think a few years ago, we started really having conversations around how job descriptions are quite biased. There's certain words lean masculine and other words lean feminine. And so to the extent that you can make your postings gender neutral, that's helpful. I think we still have panels who decide and hand out promotions that are not diverse. And so certainly you've got some inherent bias in your process that might be impeding female opportunities. I think we're getting better on supportive programs for working mothers, but I think there's still a long way to go. And I think a lot of companies can do better on this. And then I think, yeah, and I think we have a lingering cultural perception, right? So finance is a really, really competitive space. Bankers in particular have been historically thought of as, aggressive and inflexible and working 24/7. And so burnout is a very real thing in this job. And I think those perceptions still deter a lot of women. I think that the space will continue to be competitive, but I think there's still this lingering perception that it is all male and will continue to be all male.
Yeah, and I'm sure that rightly said. So there are a lot of measures that every company is trying to get there, and it's a slow and steady process. So I mean, if I have to take a step back, what do you think are like the best practices in recruiting and retaining women, especially in their roles and it depends from industry to industry. So specifically in M&A, what do you think is like effective?
Yeah, and I mean, I don't know that it's all that different in M&A than it is, for any other role, to be quite honest with you. I think it's the same things, right? So the hybrid work model is really important for women who have children or women who have other responsibilities and are working long hours. That's one easy one. Along the same lines, like progressive new parent and back to work programs. Maternity leave and then what that transition back to work looks like, I think is super, super important for women. And you need to be progressive with these programs. My company, we do a 6-month leave for both new moms and dads. That's a huge retention lever right there. It's really important to do things like that. And then there are different programs, depending where you work, that allow for maybe a phased return. So it's not just like you're coming off of that leave and, back into the grind. So there's lots of different ways that you can make it work and have a better work-life balance for mothers. Diverse interview panels, pay gap. So I think being really open and transparent about the fact that you're going to look at the pay gap at your company and whatever you find, you're going to talk about publicly. I think that solves two problems, right? It solves the problem that exists currently in your organization, but it also says to the market and prospective employees that, you care about this, and they should come work for you because this is something that you're focusing attention on. So that's important in attracting new talent.
Absolutely. I think that unsaid rule is changing by the day, and glad that your company is also doing a lot of efforts to, cater to that. And that's great to hear. And with that being said, we see that a lot of industry leaders and organizations are trying to bridge that, gender diversity and, specifically M&A, and it could be any industries. So do you think any of the strategies that have been effective in this regard in the past, or something that you see in the future also, would be something that can be plugged in?
Yeah, imperatives on diversity, really important. I think companies, again, we made a lot of progress in the last few years. Companies are talking about this. They're looking at this. We still need to do better, I think, in tying that to performance and bonus. Because at the end of the day, if you're just talking about it and there's no measurement of whether people are working on this or not, and there's no incentive, then you're not going to make much progress. So that's important. I think it's really important that it's not just women talking about this. So we have to have men championing
Absolutely.
this as well. And whether that's, educating themselves on the statistics and what they can do about it from where they sit, to, building in the equitable hiring practices, to just hosting focus groups of women. I mean, it sounds really simple, but the more that you talk to people and understand their perspective, and particularly people who are in male dominated careers, I think you learn and understand and how to reframe your thinking. And that's powerful. I mean, it sounds so simple to just talk to people, but that can be a huge help. At my organization, we have women in leadership programs, and these are really structured programs that bring in career coaches, and they talk a lot about statistics like this. This is why I can rattle some of these off. So we look at the data and we try to unpack why do these biases exist and how can we combat them. And if you're in the program, then they're talking to your senior leadership about the same topics, and so that's really helpful. But it gives women strategies to navigate the workplace and to really focus and think about their career and their next steps. Mentorship is very similar to that. And then the last thing I would say is just emotional intelligence training for everyone. I think once you realize that emotional intelligence can drive business performance, people start to understand the value that having more women in the workplace can bring.
Absolutely. And once the dialogue is open, everyone can, be a part of it. And I think, as you rightly said, men also being a part of such discussion groups and forums gives the next best step forward for everyone accordingly. Right. And that brings me to one of, my last questions, and also like one of the pointers, very essential, like we're discussing here. What are the potential implications of greater gender equity in terms of business performance?
Yeah, well, I don't like the word implication. So actually, I'll say, what are the benefits, right? Because there really are no downsides. The data shows this, right? So, and it's not just more women, it's more of everyone, right? The more diverse teams you have, the better bottom line you have. I mean, this does drive revenue. It boosts innovation, right? The more diverse perspectives you have, the more innovative your company is going to be. They've proven that it increases well-being, not just for women, but for everyone at the company, because there is a stronger focus on well-being generally and work-life balance. And then, as I kind of talked about before, your company's reputation will be boosted if you do this. People are interested in this topic. It matters to them. This is one of the social responsibility tenets that folks are looking at right now. So you will, just by doing this internally, be attracting your next generation of employees who are looking at it and saying, yeah, they're doing a great job.
Absolutely. Smaller steps can lead to bigger, impacts, rightly said so.
Yeah.
And I mean, thank you for, broadly covering a couple of questions that, I had, and any last thoughts that you have before we sign off today?
No, I think the comment I made about this can't be owned by women is probably the most important thing to underscore, right? We need everyone to be paying attention to this and everyone to understand the benefits of promoting women. And I don't just mean to the next level, I just mean promoting them in general in the workforce. So I would love to see more people talk about this who are not women. That is my call to action.
Right, absolutely, and rightly said so. And thank you for penning down your thoughts today, and for our people who are listening in and viewing in. And thank you. And with that thought, much more power to women for the years and this year. And thank you so much, Cara, for your thoughts
Yeah.
today. It's really helpful, and I'm sure anyone can tune in and get more understanding and reach out to us for more.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you.